ओ ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य महानिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् संदधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्माम् अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यत्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेव गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। नारायण नारायण नारायण. First of all, I wish all the listeners of Srimad Bhagavad Gita podcast a very, very happy, graceful, and auspicious Vaikuntha Ekadashi, which is also called as Paush Putra Ekadashi, Paush Putrada Ekadashi. I wish all the listeners a very blessed time with spiritual awakening at this particular time. That is what is Vaikuntha Ekadashi all about. And also, I'll take the opportunity to wish all the listeners a very, very happy, auspicious, and a growth oriented and happy New Year 2026, which is filled with happiness and love and learning for all of us. We will continue with verse number 16, which we had mostly completed in the last session. We'll see some more aspects of it before we move on to the next one. So, chapter 3, verse number 16. एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं नानुवर्तयति हयः अघायुरिन्द्रिया रामः मोघं पार्थ स जीवति. एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं नानुवर्तयति हयः अघायुरिन्द्रिया रामः मोघं पार्थ स जीवति. In the last session, I have already read the Bhashya of Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji on this particular verse. We have gone through most of the meaning of this particular verse. There are some more aspects left which we'll complete today in today's session before we move on to the next verse, which is verse number 17. So Bhagavan, Supreme Consciousness, Bhagavan Krishna, in this verse puts in front of us the thought and the idea of this whole creation, the principle of this whole creation, the law of this whole creation. What is the punchline there? Evam pravartitam chakram. Supreme Consciousness, in his own words, from his own mouth, he says this, that in this creation, I have already set in a cycle to run through this whole creation. As I have already set in a cycle for this creation to run about, and this cycle of creation is natural, and I am the one who have set it in. I am the one who has started this cycle. I am the one who has set this cycle in, and I am the one who is running this cycle also. It has been set in or started by Supreme Consciousness himself, so that this creation runs in a rhythm, in a music of its own, which is divine and graceful. So Bhagavan has already set in that cycle, and he says, I am the one who is running this cycle, and I am the one who ensures that things remain within this cycle. Even if human beings, I told you in the last session, Bhagavan complains that human beings are the only one who end up spoiling this cycle, but mechanism is there for things to correct it, because Bhagavan ultimately is the one who is running this particular cycle, as Bhagavan himself said. And in this cycle, whatever is the last point, Bhagavan brought out that last point first. Why? Because of the gross aspect of it, it is easy for us to understand. What is the last point which Bhagavan brought out first? Bhutani bhavanti. This is something which is evident to us, as in front of our eyes. It is a pratyaksh. Pratyaksh means it is already happening in front of us. It's very easy for us to comprehend. It is something which we can easily recognize. And from here, Bhagavan talks about the causal aspects or the cause aspects of this particular creation, of this cycle of creation. Bhagavan starts from this Bhutani Bhavanti. And Bhagavan says what? Bhutani Bhavanti Annat. Then he says Annani Bhavanti Parjanyat. Then he says Parjanyaha Bhavanti Yajnat, and Yajnaha Bhavanti Karmanaha, Karma Bhavati Brahmanaha, and Brahma Bhavati Aksharat. This is the few aspects which Bhagwan brought out in the whole cycle of creation, the different aspects Bhagwan has brought out. Bhagavan starts with Bhutani. Bhutani means this physically evident things which we see around us. Bhagavan says Bhutani, and starting from what we can perceive with our physical senses, what we can perceive in this creation with our senses. Bhagavan starts from that point and takes through the whole cycle and takes to the starting point of it, which is Akshara Brahma. And Bhagwan says it starts from Akshara Brahma. Akshara Brahma means that which cannot be destroyed. Which cannot be destroyed is Akshara. Kshara means that which is destroyed. Akshara means that which cannot be destroyed. So Bhagwan says is from Akshara Brahma it starts and it ends at Bhutani Bhavanti. And then from there it goes back into Akshara, and from there on the cycle continues. In this way, this causal creation and starts from Akshara Brahma and enters back into Akshara Brahma. What do you mean by cycle? Cycle means what? It starts from a point and it takes the full circle, and at the end it comes back and joins from where it started. That is what a circle is all about. And I told you in few of my episodes in the podcast also, be very careful with karma. Whatever action you do, don't think that you are the starting point until somebody else will face the music. No, in this whole creation everything is a cycle. Whatever is there, whatever starts from you, remember one thing, it will come back to you in a cycle, because that's how this whole creation is. That is why in the physical aspect there is a statement which we usually use: earth is round. Round means what? Means what? Wherever things start from, it takes the full cycle and comes back and joins that whole thing. So whatever starts from us, remember this line, and we all must never forget: good, bad, ugly, whatever starts with from us, trust me, it is bound to come back to us, because this whole creation is a cycle. It's a circle. Whatever starts from you has to come back and end at you. So don't think that nobody is seeing us, nobody is watching us. We can just move away with things we do and all. Sometimes we try to be, we think ourselves to be so clever that with our cleverness we think that I've done something nobody has noticed. I've told you in one of my podcasts before also, remember one thing: irrespective of who is sitting where, irrespective of who is at which stature in life, irrespective of who is at which age cycle in life, irrespective of who is at whichever position in life, only one thing we all must remember is all of us are being watched. All of us is the word. Nobody is an exception. Why? Need to remember one thing: supreme consciousness is all pervasive. There is no nook and corner in this creation where supreme consciousness is not present. And one way we need to understand and supreme consciousness is, he is Antaryami Ishwar. Antaryami Ishwar means he is my innermost core. He is the one who knows everything, everything. Even the thoughts which come into my mind are known to him. That is why one of the things I'll tell you, in Bhakti Shastra, when bhakti grows in us and we develop and grow in love and devotion for God, and that devotion starts to pervade within me, it starts to pervade my characteristic, it starts to pervade my nature, it starts to pervade my inner equipment. At that time, that bhakti starts to cleanse our inner equipment. When it starts to cleanse our inner equipment, trust me, that is when we are able to see clearly that how much dirtied we have done for this our inner equipment, how much dirt we have accumulated and collected and deposited in our inner equipment. We start to see how in a true form, actually within us we are not so good at all. That realization itself only comes with grace of Bhagwan. One thing I'll tell you, my Puja Guruji used to profoundly bring out that only those people who have the habit of wearing neat and clean clothes, they only can recognize when the cloth becomes dirty. And one example he brings out is those people who work as mechanic and all. You see, and sit down under the truck and are doing all those kind of mechanical work of repairing a truck and all. Those people, whatever clothes they wear, they'll be like grease everywhere. It will be very dirty. And when you ask them, this cloth is dirty, why don't you change it? The first thing they will say is that, where is the cloth dirty? It's already new. And when they wear the cloth, only when it is torn it will be removed. That is how, because those who have the habit of living in dirt will never be able to understand how dirty they have become. Only those who have got some purity will understand, oh, what a bad kind of a thought process I used to have, how ugly my thought process was. And in front of God, they have no hesitation in accepting that, Bhagwan, I'm so sorry. I don't think I even deserve of to be doing bhakti of you. I'm so dirty and you are so pure. I know that you are so pure that I don't want that purity of yours to get dirtied by my own dirt. Only those people who grow in that love and devotion for God can see how dirty they are. Unless and until you see your own shortcomings, the dirt which has been accumulated in you, how can you think that you will work upon it? It's not possible. So the one thing which is important is, slowly, gradually, when we develop in bhakti, that is when we start to see that there are so many things which are there to be removed. I'm telling you, when we, with whatever little we have, when we look at us, we think that the vasanas are so much. I don't know how am I going to cross over these vasanas. So the first thing we pray to Bhagwan is that, Bhagwan, if my thought that I will complete my vasanas and I'll walk towards you or start devoting towards you is not going to be possible. You will only have to figure out a way to bypass my vasanas and lift me up to you so that I can reach you. That is how, this is what we need to understand about this creation. So all that we do, whether it is karma yoga, whether it is bhakti yoga, remember one thing, it is one of the facets for us to purify our inner equipment. When our inner equipment, which is called antakarana, becomes purified, when becomes pure, that is when we will be able to decipher between what is real and unreal. Why? Because a pure intellect gains a subtle vision. A dirtied antakarana or inner equipment is so gross in nature, or with that gross nature, trust me, it can never ever even touch the subtle aspects of this creation. Forget about knowing it. It cannot even touch. For even a second, it cannot touch. So, all the purpose of Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Ashtang Yoga, and all, the purpose is very clear, to gain the inner purity. Whether you go through the Ashtang Yoga mark, whether you go through Bhakti mark, whether you go through Karma Yoga, the purpose is only to purify your intellect, which means what? It is readying you so that you become capable and qualified to come to Sankhya Yoga, which is what Bhagwan has mentioned and very deeply in the chapter 2. Why Bhagwan, after explaining Sankhya Yoga, came back to Karma Yoga? Because when he says, after giving Sankhya teaching, when I come to know that you are not able to grasp it, then what is the issue? The issue is your intellect is not ready yet. Means what? It has not gained enough purity to touch the subtle aspects and subtle aspects of this creation, subtle subjects. It is right now in such a gross form. With that gross form, it can never touch the subtle topics, subtle aspects, subtle subjects. That is what we need to know. In this way, the causal aspect of creation enters us into the Akshara Brahma. In this entire cause and effect methodology, the one thing which we all need to underline and keep is that there is a divine music which is running at the background. There is a core sound which is there, and that sound and the core or the divine music is of Swaha. Everyone is doing a Swaha in this whole creation. Everyone is giving up their aspects to gain more. By giving, they are gaining. This is one thing we all must understand and keep it in our mind. So Bhagwan says, through yajna, parjanya comes. And the three meanings of this we have seen in the last session. The first meaning is that in this creation, whatever yajna, the sacrificial fire thing is happening, in with the ahutis, with the oblations given to that fire god, or what happens, clouds are formed, and those oblations become the cause for the formation of clouds. That's the first thing we have understood as the first meaning. And in this topic, Bhagwan Bhashyakar had brought out Manusmriti, the things mentioned in Manusmriti, the verse mentioned in Manusmriti. He's brought out for our bringing it to our attention, where Swayambhu Manu says, Agnau prastahutihi samyak adityam upatishthate adityat jayate vrishtihi. And this has been loudly and clearly mentioned by Swayambhu Manu himself, Manu Maharaj, as he has mentioned. And remember, when did he mention all these things? When today's science was not even there. Now please remember that. I am trying to bring out one aspect to it. And he has mentioned it at the beginning of the creation, when the science and technology, which is what we consider as science and technology today and consider ourselves as advanced, was not even there. At that time, Manu Maharaj himself had declared this thing, that Agnau prastahutihi samyak adityam upatishthate aditya jayate e vrishtihi. He had established explained the relationship of rain with Aditya. Aditya means sun, SUN, the Surya we are talking about here, Aditya. He has already established that, explained that relationship of cloud formation and rains with sun, the Surya. And this is not a small thing. And if I would, somebody would have said that today, with so much of research and things on the science and technology, it would not have been a big deal. But in those days, when today's research and science and technology was not there, at that time, Manu Maharaj had brought out this thing, that sun is the one which is responsible for or formation of clouds and the rains to hit the earth. Just imagine. And he has established that relationship between in rain and sun. And he did not say about river or ocean or anything. He said that the relationship of this vaporization of water with the help of sun, and is for all the sources of water which are available on this particular earth. He said that it has got a direct connection with all the sources of water available on the earth, not only with ocean and river alone. He did not say that. And how surprising it is that he has established the relationship of this vaporization of water, formation of clouds, and those clouds pouring out as rain onto the earth, not with water directly. Rather, he established that connection with the sun, with Surya. And to even come up to that conclusion, there has to be a lot of subtle vision which is required. Not everybody can do that without today's paper and research and all those kind of things. That the relationship of cloud formation is not that water, it's automatically evaporating and all. The process, sun is involved in that whole process, and sun is the one which blesses us with does the swaha for the water to evaporate and form in the form of a cloud. And uh, and he said that rains happen because of Surya, because of sun. And how this entire thing happens, whatever oblation is offered to fire god in the correct form and manner, remember, those oblations or ahutis, they go and place themselves in sun, in Surya, and then Surya, with those oblations, transform the entire sources of water here, evaporates them into, with the heat of sun, evaporates them and forms cloud, and then also the wind god takes the clouds in different direction, and the sun only helps in terms of making the clouds come down onto the earth in the form of rain. This is a natural phenomenon which is happening in this creation. All those things of knowledge which are made available to you through the Guru Shishya Parampara, the lineage, the Guru Shishya lineage, even if you are not able to relate that from a logical perspective at this moment because of your lack of understanding, still you must have complete faith in them, so that you are able to correct your logic in such a way, with the correct understanding. One day you will definitely realize, so you must keep the faith in them. And in this entire statement, the only thing we need to understand is that in this world, the yajna or the sacrificial fire event or ceremony is happening somewhere or the other in the world, in some nook and corner in the world, not necessarily only in India. Also, now these days, Indians are there everywhere, so I'm sure the yajna is happening in many other places also. But for the time being, even if you come back and say that this yajna is not happening anywhere else in the world, India is the one, and or Sanatan Dharma is the one who talks about yajna, right? But if Sanatan Dharma is the one which talks about yajna, and the yajna, the sacrificial fire thing, ceremony or events are happening only in India, how is it raining elsewhere in the world? Now, the direct answer to this question is this world we have divided between India and other countries. The world is one, okay? Now I'll explain you certain aspect for you to understand it better. The world is one. We have divided this world into different continents, countries, and then nationalities and other things and all. We are the one who have done that. But the world is one, and this whole earth is one. That's since this earth is one, on this earth, wherever the yajna or the sacrificial fire ceremony may be happening, it doesn't matter. The benefit of that is gained by the entire nook and corner of this earth. And it is exactly like this. As an example, I'll give you. We have only one mouth. Okay. Using that mouth, we consume food. Okay, whatever food we consume with our one mouth in the body we have, from that our whole body is nourished, isn't it? We are not sending nourishment separately to the different organs of the body, right? We have only one mouth to consume the food. With whatever food we consume from that mouth, it actually nourishes the entire body. So the actual prime source of information can never be argument, can never be discussion, can never be understanding of different people. That cannot become the logic for us to understand or accept a truth. That we need to understand very clearly, that just as the food which we eat from our mouth actually nourishes the whole body, in the same way yajna done at any part of this world nourishes the whole earth, benefits the whole earth. That is what we need to understand. So argument alone cannot become the proof of something. Just because we argue and logically somebody is not able to explain, that cannot become the proof of truth at all. That is not the correct way to understand. The actual way to understand the truth should be that what our scriptures talk about. If our scriptures talk about that, I may not be able to understand that today, But remember, it's a truth. I need to develop myself in such a way that I am able to understand the truth which is expounded by our scriptures. This meaning of yajna definitely is one meaning of yajna, which we have taken up in the last session also. When we take this meaning of yajna, then remember one thing, definitely yajna is born out of karma. It appears as out of karma, and those karma, those actions are born out of Veda. And Vedas come from Ishvara. Ishvara means God, and means what? It is born out of supreme consciousness itself. It appears out of supreme consciousness as itself. Then whatever actions are there, whatever act is there, between whatever behavior is there, between whatever exchange of action is there between yajmana and purohit. Yajman means the one who is actually the prime one who organizes the yajna, who is funding the yajna or who is organizing the yajna, and purohit is the one who is doing the yajna. Whatever transaction happens between both of them, that will be called as karma, action. And with those karma, whatever comes out as the final result, well, that is called yajna. That is why one other name of yajna is yajna karma samudbhava. Even if we do this definition, even if we take this definition of yajna, remember one thing, with this definition of yajna, we don't have to change anything. We can continue with whatever we have understood from the aspects expounded by Bhagwan. We don't have to make any changes at all. Now let's take the second meaning of yajna, in which the meaning of yajna is the yajna spirit within us, through by using which we do our action, basis on which we do our action. The spirit of yajna means the spirit of sacrifice for the total good of everyone. Okay, so whatever act we do with the attitude of yajna, with the yajna bhavana, whatever act we do for the total good of everyone, that is another meaning of the word called yajna. Now in this act, the social act of yajna, where many people come together and do swaha, what is the cause of that? It will always be achievement of one common goal, one common special goal which is set, and all people come together to achieve that one particular goal, right? Now in the process of achieving that common goal which have been kept, whatever difference of opinion we have, whatever clash of interests we have to drop those things. Now difference of opinion we have to drop, and even the clash of interest also we have to drop. Whatever different resolves we have for our own personal thing, we may have to drop that also. For doing all these things, where will the power come from? Now that is what question we have to, it should strike our mind. For dropping all these things, we need power to drop our difference of, when many people come together, difference of opinion is natural, because it's a personality driven thing. I'm telling you honestly, I told before also in other episodes as well, so many people come out to interact with me. Not everyone interacts the way we want. There are some people who interacts very irritatingly also. We overlook them and move on, because it doesn't matter to us. People are people. Everybody is a product of their own vasanas, own behaviors they have entertained, own habits they have cultivated, own cultures they have cultivated. So you cannot go and correct everyone in that way. When people surrender, you can still make an attempt to correct people, but otherwise it doesn't work that way. So we don't waste time on those who have conflicting opinion, difference of opinion. We try once and we move on. We just leave them where they are and let them correct and then come back when they have corrected. So, that's where will the power come from to, drop our difference of opinion, the clash of interest we have, the different personal resolves we have. When the goal is one, remember one thing, when the goal is one and it becomes a common goal of everyone, remember the one thing which is the attitude of coming together, working together to fulfill that one particular goal. Okay, now when goal becomes one and many people come together to actually fulfill or achieve that particular one goal, and remember, all those people who have come together may have different capabilities and qualifications. Everyone will have different capabilities and different qualifications. When all those different capabilities and qualifications which people have, they come together, then the work is divided in such a way that people can do according to whatever they can manage, whatever fits them in terms of their own qualities. I'm just giving you an example. When a Jnana Yajna is maintained or organized, there are one who organizes or takes the onus of organizing the Jnana Yajna. Jnana Yajna means satsang or whichever way. When I am also called all to different places to give discourses or anything, many people come together to do that. So idea comes from one person. Okay, then if Guru is right, what the Guru will say, the idea is very good. Now we must ask people that who all want to come forward and contribute. Now contribute, I told you in the last session also, could be monetary, could be physical labor or physical work, could also be hard work of each one of us. So when they all come together, that's when all the capabilities come together, and whatever capabilities are there of people, they all disperse work with each other, and this whole yajna is organized. And when different capabilities come together and people drop their personal resolves, drop their difference of opinion, drop their conflicting interest, and work towards one common goal, trust me, the success is brilliant. Okay, that's one thing we need to understand. When and people with different capabilities come together, they all fulfill the lacking of one person, another person fulfills with his own capability, because everyone has got different capabilities. So all that lacuna which was there in one person to do the entire thing in a good way is fulfilled. How? Is completed how? Is rectified how? By different people with different capabilities coming together to work. So that is why when we organize, we have to see which person is capable for what. So like in yajna, somebody is good at marketing, somebody is good at organizing a hall and seating capacity, podium and other things. Somebody is very good at organizing tea and snacks and all. Somebody is very good at organizing different things as facilities for people. Somebody is very good at organizing transport arrangement. So all these things are required to do a yajna correctly. And somebody have to organize the travel for the speaker also. All those things are different set of actions, and everyone has got different capability to do that. Now when people with different capability to come together, they try to fill the lacking of each other and makes it a complete whole and a perfect setup to complete the entire work. Now when a total goal is kept in front of us, that's when people start to drop or give up their individual desires to work for or this common interest and common goal. They rather than keeping their power separate from all of them, they try to put all their power and energy they have to put together to make this a combined grand arrangement. And when that happens, then that is when it is called a well arranged event. Remember, it becomes a well arranged event. And with this attitude of sacrifice, when all of the people come together to do an action, that is when that action will be called as yajna. Okay, that will be called as it's not necessarily a sacrificial fire ceremony only. It is with this attitude, all the people come together to achieve a common goal. That's when it becomes yajna. The one thing we need to remember is all those people who come together for this particular one goal, they all come together with the bhava, with the yajna spirit, with the bhavana of swaha. Now, people may have the attitude of yajna, the spirit of yajna in them, and but if they do not end up doing the action physically, they have the feeling of yajna bhava, they have the spirit of yajna, but they don't end up doing the action physically. Remember, then also it can never be called as a yajna. Both things have to be there. The spirit of yajna has to be there, or the bhavana of swaha also have to be there, and the physical action also have to be there. We have a lot of yajna bhava, but I will not do anything. It will not become a yajna. With only the spirit of yajna, remember, you cannot form an action. And without both of these things coming together, the spirit of yajna and action, the spirit of yajna plus action coming out of that spirit of yajna put together adds up together to become yajna. That is why Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna says, Yajna karma samudbhava. That is what we need to know from this particular verse. Unless we do a social act or a total act without the, unless we do a total act or a social act without the yajna spirit, remember one thing, the yajna can never be formed. Once a yajna is formed, or once a yajna is completed, what is the meaning we need to understand from that? That, once a yajna is completed successfully, remember, it will convert into parjanya. From that, parjanya will come. And if we take this meaning, in the light of this meaning, the word parjanya will mean what? A favorable environment conducive for production. I told you, I gave an example of organizing a yajna, but we should take it back to factory environment and all the production environments we have in this world. Please take them to there, so you can translate that with what I've explained as a meaning, because if I take up every meaning, it will be very difficult. So, it will be what? A favorable condition, and which is conducive of production. Means a favorable environment is created. Now, when such an environment is created, whatever is produced with that, in that environment, using that environment, will be coined with the term called anna. Now, it can be clothes which are produced there, it can be computer which are produced there, it could be phones which are produced there. Now, anna, the word anna means adyate, means whatever is is capable of our consumption, whatever is worthy of our consumption will be termed under the word called anna. Remember that, huh? Whatever is ready for consumption by us by the jivas, it will be termed under the term called anna. Just because a thing is lying there will not become anna. Just because it is lying there in the godown and stored there will not become anna, unless and until it is becomes ready and worthy of our consumption. Now, in the kitchen also, there are so many raw material which is available in the kitchen: pulses, rice, wheat. All those things are available in the kitchen. You cannot call all of them as anna. They are not called as anna. Don't take that meaning at all. Anna, it will become only when it is ready and worthy for our consumption. Remember that, huh? Just because raw material is lying in the kitchen, it will not be called as anna. Now, with this particular meaning, with this particular understanding, whatever is produced in this creation, whatever is produced in the wherever and in the wherever whatever is produced in this creation, which is worthy and ready for our consumption and presented in front of us for our consumption, all those will be categorized under the term called annam. Anna. Now, that which is produced, anna, that which is produced in an environment which is favorable, which is called parjanya, and that environment favorable was created with the yajna spirit within all those people who came together for that production, for that total act. That is why it is called yajna karma samudbhava. That is what we need to understand. From where did we get the teaching about such kind of karma? Remember, definitely the only and only source of such thing is going to be Veda. That is why Bhagavan said, Karma Brahmodbhavam Vidhi. And that Veda came from Akshara Brahma. Akshara Brahma is the supreme consciousness. That Brahma, which is not Brahma, Brahma, which cannot be destroyed, which is imperishable. From that came Veda. Now, the third meaning of this word, this entire thing, we need to have a different kind of a mindset to understand this thing. This third meaning in which is there, it is a pervasive meaning, but we need to we need to give a lot of respect and reverence for our scriptures to understand this particular meaning. This entire creation is being run in one particular cycle. Okay, that much is clear. And in this creation, everything that is produced, every aspect of this creation, remember, is completely pervaded with this feeling or the spirit of yajna. It's completely, it's embedded in there. Now, the series, the thought process we need to develop is, Bhagwan Surya or the sun god is doing his swaha. He is doing in his yajna. The streams of water or the sources of water are doing their swaha. They are doing their yajna. The wind god or Vayu, in his own manner, he is doing his yajna. And Akasha or the space is giving it its required space in its own manner, and in that way the element of Akasha or the space is doing its own yajna, and the clouds are doing their own yajna in their own manner. All of them are doing what? Swaha in their own particular manner by which they can do. And the earth, now let's come to the earth, the fifth element. Earth is doing swaha in its own manner. And with entire all of this swaha, what happens? Whatever is lying in the bed of this earth, within the soil of this earth, in terms of seeds, they start to sprout out into crops and other things. And that's how this mother earth is doing her own swaha in her own manner. Now, all the animals, birds, insects, flies, all those things, small, all, bacteria and other things also, organisms also, remember, they are all very, very important for this entire cycle of creation. None of them are useless in this creation. Now remember one thing, huh? I am mark my word for this, huh? None of them in this creation, there is nothing which is useless. Please remember, if there is nothing which is useless, why some of us develop this thought that I'm good for nothing, I'm useless? I'm telling you, God has created nothing in this creation which is useless. Everything has its use in its correct manner. We may not understand it. Remember, animals, birds, plants, insects, flies, reptiles, everything is important in this creation, and they all are serving their purpose. They are all doing their own swaha for so that this cycle of creation continues. It is not that these insects, birds, and plants are only harming the creation. Remember, it's not like that at all. Rather, let me tell you upfront one thing. I think man is the only one which is harmful for this creation. No, I'm not talking about every human being. Huh? Many human beings are doing nothing but harming this creation. Now, trust me, I'm telling you, this is the truth of the life. All other things in this creation are only useful for this creation. In one way, they are all friends of this whole creation. Even, and what do you call that, a bee, a insect, a firefly, all of them, they are important for running this cycle of this creation. They are all important jivas. They may be, by the look of it, they may seem very small, but all of them are important for this creation. In this creation, there is nothing. Now, I have already kept human beings out of that. Many human beings are not doing it. Human beings are the only one who spoil this cycle of creation. In this creation, there is nothing else apart from human beings who's not doing swaha, who are not contributing, who are not giving up for this creation, who are not helping in this creation. Now, just think, a small insect, a small bee, such small organisms are also contributing for this creation. Then why can't we? Why can't we as human beings? We are we have so many faculties with us. Why can't we contribute? Why do we become selfish when it comes to do that? That is why it is very important for us to understand this entire thing in what Bhagwan is trying to say here, what Supreme Consciousness is trying to say here. Now, this swaha, this sound of swaha is the core sound, core music which is continuously going on in this creation. Evam pravartitam chakram. This cycle, chakram, it's running only on the basis of this thing called yajna spirit or swaha. Now, look at our own body. In our own body also, swaha is continuously going on. Our body is able to survive and move around with this because there is the swaha continuously happening within us. There are millions of cells which are born and they die in our body, and that is when our body continues to exist in this creation. And if this is, swaha is not happening within us, or if this swaha stops in us, that is when body develops cancer. When this attitude of swaha stops, that is when, and we human beings are called as suffering from cancer or anything, because our cells refuse to do swaha. Why? Because probably we may be the cause of it. We are not doing it, so they also give up. And then we end up facing all these things. So now, please remember, don't take my word and say that all those people who are suffering from cancer are the only one who are not doing swaha. Please don't take those meanings at all. Don't take those stupid meanings at all. But I'm just trying to say that when our body cell stops to do swaha, that is when, and cancer and all comes in our body. That is when, and cancer and all develops in the body or starts to grow in our body. Now, in this entire, and how you need to understand this whole creation whole Brahmanda, whole galaxy is the body of Supreme Consciousness. And we are all like cells in his body. Okay. Now, when we end up giving up the act of yajna spirit, when we end up giving up swaha in our own karma, that is when this whole creation in this whole creation it starts to become cancerous for this creation. Such a human being who does not participate in this entire creation in terms of swaha, or who becomes a cancer for this creation, such a human being is paving way for his or her downfall forever, and becomes destroying for our society. Like example I'll bring out here is like Ravan and Hiranyakashipu. What was wrong in them? When you read Puranas or hear Bhagavad and all, no, with those stories, understand what went wrong. They refused to do swaha or participate in this creation. Rather, they stepped themselves aside and conceived themselves that they are very powerful, or misunderstood themselves as all powerful, refused to do swaha, and also what happened, started to lead a selfish life, hoarding for themselves, living for themselves alone. Now you need to look around. Don't look at the story of Ravan and Hiranyakashipu only. These days there are so many Ravan and Hiranyakashipu available in our creation, in our society. Just look around. Bhagwan says, I have set a rhythm in this creation. I have set a music in this creation. And in that divine music which is going on, and there is such a beautiful arrangement that if you want to gain happiness, definitely you will get it, but you will get only when you will give happiness to others. That is what you need to understand from this. First you give happiness to others, remember, then that happiness will return to you from there, and you will also be able to gain that happiness. Now, when we look at Bhagwan, we need to understand, and Bhagwan accepts all our desires, but Bhagwan will fulfill all our desires. He will fulfill all our desires what we want, but there is only one condition. To gain what we desire, the only thing Bhagwan says is that follow what has been set as the law and principle of this creation. Now, love, respect, what you call that, felicitations, happiness, cooperation, etc., are required by every jiva who has attained body here. But all those will come as a return to you. You cannot earn them like that. Just by wanting them, you will not earn them. You start giving them, it will come back to you. I told you in one of the session before also, all those people who contribute and donate also, some people say that, when I will have enough, I will contribute. Remember, the time will never come for you like that. Rather, when you start contributing, you will have enough. Just change that attitude. Try it and test it, you will know. Nobody who have contributed for things in this creation have become completely a pauper or anything like that. There is no such example at all. Whether you call about Raja Janak also, whether you call about Raja Dashrath also, Maharaj Dashrath also, you can take umpteen examples. They all have contributed well and things have returned to them. I'm telling you, it is true for knowledge also. We study scriptures, we learn scriptures and we keep it to ourselves. If we learned under Guru Parampara, the first thing we have to contribute is to give that knowledge back to the creation. It will become as a fulfillment for us also. That is what all the people who have studied scriptures, they do. Swadhyaya pravachanabhyam na pramaditavyam. It's an instruction from our scripture. Taittiriya Upanishad, it says very clearly, all those who have studied under Guru Parampara, for them the one order scripture gives is Swadhyaya Pravachanabhyam na Pramaditavyam. You should never leave an opportunity of reflecting on what has been taught out by your Guru in the scriptures, plus continuously researching on them, continuously doing manan on them, and also whenever you get an opportunity to give a talk on them or to teach them to someone, never ever drop that opportunity. Use that opportunity well. Remember, all these things which we want in our life, they are only going to come to you as a return of what you have done. Okay, they will never come to you directly. That is why Bhagavan said parasparam bhavayantah. Now, one question which may sprout in our mind is, does everyone in this creation have to follow this cycle? Is it utmost important for everyone to follow this cycle in the creation of yajna, swaha and everything? Or is there someone in this creation who can be placed outside this cycle, or who has grown above his or her duties? To answer that question, Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna says, there is one such person whom I will call as Atma Ram, because he is reveling in the self. He is not Indriya Ram at all. Indriya Ram means he is not one who is reveling in the sense and sensual objects. He has dropped or moved away from reveling in sense and sensual objects and moved up or grown up or evolved to the level of reveling in the self. That is what the next verse is all about. We will read the verse. I'll read Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji's Bhashya on the same, and then we'll take up the meaning from there. For this particular verse, Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji gives a brilliant connecting bhashya, connecting the previous verse to this particular verse. I'll read that also. First, I'll read the verse, then I'll read the connecting bhashya first, and then I'll read the bhashya for this particular verse. Or let me do one thing. Let me read the connecting bhashya for this verse first, and then explain that, and then take up this particular verse. Bhagwan Shankaracharya in his connecting bhashya says, एवं स्थिते किम एवं प्रवर्तितम चक्रम सर्वेण अनुवर्तनीयम आहोस्वित पूर्वोक्त कर्म योगानुष्ठानोपाय प्राप्याम अनात्मविदा ज्ञान योगेन एव निष्ठाम आत्मविद्भिः सांख्यैः अनुष्ठेयाम अप्राप्तेन एव इति एवं अर्थम अर्जुनस्य प्रश्नम आशंक्य स्वयं एव वा शास्त्रार्थस्य विवेक प्रतिपत्त्यर्थम एतं वै तमात्मानं विदित्वा निर्वृत्तमिथ्या ज्ञानाः सन्तः ब्राह्मणा मिथ्या ज्ञानवद्भिरवश्यं कर्तव्येभ्यः पुत्रैषणादिभ्यो व्युत्थाय भिक्षाचर्यं शरीरस्थितिमात्र प्रयुक्तं चरन्ति न तेषाम् आत्मज्ञाननिष्ठा व्यतिरेकान्यत कार्यमस्ति. This is quoted from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. इति एवं श्रुत्यर्थम इह गीता शास्त्रे प्रतिपिपादयिषितम आविष्कुर्वन् आह भगवान. You see the brilliance of Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji. He says, evam sthite kim evam pravartitam chakram sarvena anuvartaniyam. Is it that this chakra which has been set out by Bhagwan to be followed by this entire creation, everyone has to walk this cycle, or as mentioned before, those people who have not gained the nishtha, or who are anatmagya. Anatmagya means they have not known the about the self till now. For whom Bhagwan, Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan Krishna has advised before, karma yoga anusthana, purvokta karma yoga anusthanopaaya prapyam anatma vida jnana yogena eva nishtham. He says, those people who have been advised to follow the karma yoga and they have to follow the karma yoga, and then and those people who after gaining the required qualification post going through the karma yoga anushthan have gone through the sankhya yoga already. Those two sets of people, those who are following the karma yoga mark and those who are yet on the mark or on the path of sankhya yoga, they've not reached the self yet, huh? Are those people the only one who are advised to follow this path, or there are some people who are outside this entire thing, doing entire this cycle of creation set out by Bhagavan? Are there people who do not need to go through this thing at all, or do not need to follow this? Are there people outside this cycle? Such a doubt can arise in the mind of Arjun may have such kind of a doubt. That's why Bhagavan is trying to bring up the next particular verse. He brilliantly continues and says, or Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan, and to explain the correct meaning of the scriptures, what scripture expounds, this self, and he brings out Brihadaranyaka Upanishad's mantra here to explain that this self which is so popular, or knowing which the all kind of false understanding and all has been completely freed off in the mind of such a person, such a Mahatma means such a saint, and who is a Brahmana. Those actions which are to be done by the ignorant people, those people, those actions which are compulsorily to be done by the people who are ignorant, means which actions? Putradi, those people who are filled with the desire for, or progeny, etc., etc., etc. Putra, Vitta, Lok, Eshna, all these Eshnas are there. I've already explained it sometime before. Or those people who are completely free from such desires, all kind of desires, and in whom the false understanding of this creation is completely destroyed, the false knowledge or the ajnana is completely destroyed, and who now are living in this creation just to pass time and continue to nourish this body till the time prarabdha is there. Only for the nourishment sake, they are leading a life of bhikshacharya. Bhikshacharya means they are even, what you call that, seeking bhiksha to just nourish this body, leading a life of complete bhiksha, means in seeking from people. And for such people, apart from remaining completely with firm abidance in self alone, or completely resolved in self, completely fulfilled and contented in self, for such people there is no duty left for or them at all to explain that meaning of scripture, or in this Srimad Bhagavad Gita Shastra iti evam shrutyartham, to bring out this meaning of shruti means Veda, in this Bhagavad Gita Shastra, in this scripture of Bhagavad Gita, to bring out that thing, and Bhagwan is trying to bring out this particular verse, which is the next verse. Now I am going to read the next verse, then I'll read Bhagwan Shankaracharya's bhashya on that particular verse, and then we'll take up the meaning from there. Verse number 17, chapter 3. यस्त्वात्मरतिरेव स्यात् आत्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टः तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते. यस्त्वात्मरतिरेव स्यात् आत्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टः तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते. भगवान शंकराचार्य जी ने इस भाष्य से, यह तो सांख्य आत्मज्ञान निष्ठ आत्मरति ही आत्मनिएव रति ही न विषयेषु यस्य स आत्मरति ही एव स्यात् भवेत् आत्मतृप्तः च आत्मना एव तृप्तः न अन्नरसादिना मानवः मनुष्यः सन्यासी आत्मनि एव च सन्तुष्टः संतोषो हि बाह्यार्थ लाभे सर्वस्य भवति तम अनपेक्ष्य आत्मनि एव च सन्तुष्टः sarvato vita trishna iti etat ya idrisha atmavid tasya karyam karaniyam na vidyate na asti tyarthah. Supreme consciousness, Bhagavan Krishna says here, in this cycle of creation, and cycle of creation means doing their respective duties, all of us are required to do our respected duties. Only one such exception is there, or one person is an exception for or this cycle of creation, means he doesn't have any duty at all. For such a person, there are no duties left. Now, this is little bit difficult for us to understand. Now, for human beings, all of us who are born as human beings, who are living in this bhava, in this thought that aham jivaha, jivosmi, till the time we have this notion called jiva in us, all of us are required to do our respective duties. We cannot run away from them. That's one thing we need to understand very well. So we need to understand it this way. The duty of following this cycle of creation set out by Bhagwan is not there with one person. That person is an exception. For such a person, there are no duties left. Now, uh, uh, you know, for such a person, and there are no duties left means what? This person is not bound by any duty at all. Now remember, this person is a person only still. He's still a human being only in the human body, but he or she is a special kind of a person. The yajna karma, the action of yajna, which have been advised by me, which have been taught by me, is for normal human beings. Now, when I say normal human beings, what? Now, this person is abnormal or what? No, don't take that meaning. This person is above normal. Our Puji Guruji used to say it very beautifully. No, you cannot say that is abnormal. They're above normal. They are not. This such kind of person is not leading a life like all of us. Is exceptional human being. Manavaha yastu atmarati evasya. Now, as compared to normal human beings, this person is very, very different. That is why Bhagwan has used this word tu. Yastu atmaratireva syad. Yah tu, you have to read this verse in this way. Yah tu, to keep that differentiation, Bhagwan has put this word called tu. That this person is different from all others. Yah tu atmaratireva syad. Now, that is why he's used this word called tu. Now, for such a person, no more duties in this creation are left. This person is completely free from all kind of duties. And in this entire creation, this person is an exceptional human being. I'm saying human being because he's still in the human body. He's not left the body yet. On such a person, no duties are applicable at all. Now, in this verse, Bhagwan has used, Supreme Consciousness, Bhagwan Krishna has used 3 words. Such a person has got Atma Ratihi, means Rati in Atma. He's reveling in the self. Now, and he says Atma Triptascha. Now, such person is always remains fulfilled and contented. Triptascha. And Santushtaha is always happy. Is filled with happiness. It's not that he's sad and all those things. Now we need to dwell into the deeper meaning of this particular verse. In reality, all of us needs these 3 things, or look forward or have desire for these 3 things. What are the 3 things? Rati means reveling, Tripti, fulfillment or contentment, Santushti, happiness. Now, first, what is the thought which is formed in us? The first thought which is formed in us when we gain something is called santushti. I am happy that I got this. When I desire something, some object or some person or anything, when I gain them or when I gain that object, the first thing I'll feel is I'm happy now. Now, once that feeling of happiness is there within me, now after that only we will try to look for fulfillment, tripti, contentment, and then we will look for rati, that am I able to revel in it or not. Now this santushti or the feeling of happiness, as whenever it is born in our antakarana, uh, that first thing which will come is that oh, whenever this santushti, when I gain an object or a person, when I start becoming happy, the first thing which is born in our antakarana is that, the first thought which is born is that now I am complete, now I am fulfilled. Sanjat alam pratyaya. Now alam pratyaya means then is born one thing, that I have enough, I am fulfilled and contented, now I do not need anything. Right? This alam pratyaya need to be born in us, that now more than enough. One example I can give you is of the food. Anyway, I'll come to that meaning. Now the meaning of the word santushta or happiness is what, that I should have this experiential feeling that I am now filled with it. I'm filled with it means that I'm up to the top, I'm filled with it, that I do not need anything more at all. Now means what, I should have this feeling in me that my life is complete now. The problem is that this feeling never comes. Even those people that who have enough also, for their future generations also, they also don't get this feeling that I have enough. Now when a person starts to feel that whatever I have is much more than what I desire or need in my life, that is when, and this feeling is that is when we can translate the feeling we have into the word called santosha. Means what, samyak tosha, that I have enough now, I have enough to fulfill my needs, I do not need anything more. Like I've told you, the example, the best example I can give you is of food. When lot of tasty food is kept in front of us, we like all that is kept in front of us. But how long will you eat? How much will you eat? Till the time your stomach gives you a signal, a warning that now I am full. When the stomach gives you a signal, now I am full, I have no more space left to consume anything more, that is when in our antakarana, inner equipment, this thought is born that whatever I needed to eat, how much I needed to eat, I've already eaten. Probably I have eaten more than how much I should have eaten, and that's when this thought is born in my antakarana, that I must say no to more food now. I don't want any more. When this feeling, when this thought arises in us, that's when we say that now I feel happy and contented with what I've eaten because my stomach is full. My hunger is quenched, my hunger is completely gone. And but remember, my hunger is gone, but it is not necessary that I have reveled in what I have eaten. It's not necessary. No, from childhood, whatever food we have eaten and whatever food we have practiced to eat from the childhood, that kind of food only a person starts to feel the feeling of reveling in them. Whatever taste I've developed since childhood, I'm giving you examples, there are so many examples. I can give you good, bad, ugly, all of them. Actually, those people who have since long period of time practiced vegetarian meal, trust me, they cannot even stand the look of non-vegetarian. They start to have nauseatic feeling with that. The smell starts to irritate them. On the contrary, there are some people who cannot eat without eating non-vegetarian. All kind of people are there. Why? Because you have developed a habit, developed a taste for it. You have developed it. It was not given to you. Please remember that. You have developed it. That is why I'm telling you honestly, in the creation, please understand one thing well. Please be careful with what you engage with in this creation in terms of objects and things, whether it is food, whether it is people, whether it is emotion, whichever way you call it. Now, whatever food I have developed a taste since childhood, remember, a person will revel in only such kind of food. Now, even in front of such a person, even if best of the food is kept, what is available, remember, it will he will not find and happiness in that. He will not have happiness eating that for more than maybe 1 or 2 days. Now recently, I have an example of such person who was given same kind of a vegetarian breakfast for a long period of time and started complaining, left the training in between because could not tolerate the food anymore in that place where that person was staying. So whenever such a person gets the food which he or she likes, remember, that is when the person will revel in that particular food, enjoy that food in its full. It's not that the person is what call that, have firm faith in an object, or it's not that it's completely established in a person or a object, so to say. It's not like that at all. That's why, hey, for usually we'll say sometimes we feel ill fulfilled in things, sometimes we feel happiness with things we get in life, but not necessarily, we may not end up reveling in things. Now, we remember one thing, all the three things are important. You just look at your own life, you will understand. Many a times we are happy with the things we get, but we may not feel contented and fulfilled with that. Reveling is completely different. Now, after having happiness of gaining something, we must have the feeling of reveling in that thing also. Now, sometimes we may revel in something, but that thing which we revel in may not give us fulfillment or contentment feeling at all. So, in this way, our thoughts are divided into these three segments. Now, if we say only santushti, that also does not complete our cycle of feeling. Now, in life, first we gain happiness, or generate happiness or the feeling of santushti, that oh, I gained something. And then and comes Raman, means reveling in that, and then and it would culminate into gaining a fulfillment. Most of the time, what happens that we may reach till the level of gaining happiness with something, we may not get into the level of reveling, forget about the level of fulfillment. Or we may gain happiness, we may revel in something, but we may not reach the level of fulfillment at all. Now, the 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 dichotomy of life is such that there is nothing in this creation, nothing in this creation in terms of created world. I'm marking my word. When I say nothing in this creation and I move on with that, then you may misconstrue the meaning. There is nothing in this creation as part of this created world where we can gain all these three things at one place or in one thing. Now, many a times when we see our life, we may be happy with something, we may revel in something different, and because they are two different places. Level of fulfillment will never be there. Now remember, fulfillment will be depend that the amount or quantum of fulfillment will depend on the quantum and level of reveling in we have within us. Now Bhagwan says, Supreme Consciousness Bhagwan says, there is only one thing in this creation which can give us all these three at one place, and that's it. That Bhagavan says, Atmani eva, in the self alone. Bhagavan has used the word eva here. Please mark that word. Bhagavan says, Atmani eva. This self alone is that thing in this creation which can give you all these three things at one place. Now remember, if these three thoughts for anyone can be achieved at one place, that person is the most blessed person in this creation. In the previous chapter, when Bhagwan was elaborating upon the properties of a Sthita Prajna, at that time Bhagwan said, Atmani eva Atmana Tushtaha. Now, if you recall the chapter 2, verse number 55, you will see there, Bhagwan said, Atmani eva Atmana Tushtaha. From there, coming to this particular verse, Bhagwan have opened two more aspects of Sthita Prajna, Atmarati and Atma Tripti. Atmani eva Santushtaha. Now, for or giving happiness to such a person, apart from the self, nothing else in this creation can get this person to that level. Now this person, now all those people who have a rupee, now in the olden times we can say that, or I would say all the people who have a 10 rupee or maybe a dollar, or all the cents and everything is already contained in them. They will not have the person who's having a dollar bill will never have any kind of a desire for cents and all. A person having a 10 rupee note may not even have a desire of 1 rupee, 2 rupee and all those things at all, because in the 10 rupee note or in the dollar bill, cents are already covered in them or contained in them. The 10 rupee note, 1 rupee, 2 rupee and all those things are contained in them. In this, one thing we all must understand, and I want to say that before I complete the session for today, that self is such a reveling thing that in that alone we can have all those three things, santushti, rati and tripti at one place, so to say. With this, one thing we must understand is Atma or the self is the name of the reveling object, which is explained here. It is not coined with something called, or which can be termed with, which can be associated with sorrow or happiness, so to say. Now, this self is such an object in which one can revel. If this self would not have been something in which one can revel, well, then remember one thing, nobody would have reveled in the self. Then what happens to the Sthita Prajna and all, as Bhagavan has explained? Something is there wherein we cannot revel, and and uh, and that is that cannot be made capable of being reveled in also. Oh, and that's something that is something which one cannot make it as a reveling thing at all, or and in irrespective of whatever force one put, you cannot make that thing reveling if the reveling nature is not there in that object. Now what is the meaning which comes out of this? Self is the only thing in this creation. Now remember, when I say thing, I'm telling you vis-a-vis the other things. It's not a thing at all. Self is the only aspect, only truth. Once one gets a complete abidance in it, this person will always be filled with happiness, will always be filled with an experience of happiness, so to say, and since will always feel completely, fulfilled, so to say, will always have, and means what, will never ever have the feeling of missing anything in life, will never feel that there is anything missing in life. The moment one gets fulfillment in the self, one gets reveling in the self. Now this person will not have the experience or the thought of any kind of missing thing in its life. He will feel that I have everything that is required to be done. I'll explain you certain things in the next session. I'll bring out some mantras from the Upanishad also to explain this facet. So Bhagwan says is in because he does not have the feeling of missing anything in life totally. That's why in such a person no desire or desire for objects do not arise at all. He or she does not have this feeling at all that if I would have had this object, because this person always remains happy. His happiness is not something which will come and go. Now when one experiences such kind of a feeling that I have have nothing missing in my life, I have all that I wanted in my life, when one has this kind of a feeling, that is what is termed with this word called santushti. That much for today. Rest we'll see in the next session. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि श्रीमन्नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ओम तत्सत।